a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Paul Gascoigne. John Gascoigne is an English former professional football player and manager. He is also known by his nickname, Gazza. He earned 57 caps during his England career and has been described by the National Football Museum as the most naturally gifted English midfielder of his generation. Born and raised in Gateshead, the midfielder signed schoolboy terms with Newcastle United, before turning professional with the top-tier club in 1985. 3 years later he was sold on to Tottenham Hotspur for a £2.2 million fee. He won the FA Cup with Spurs in 1991, before being sold to Italian club Lazio for £5.5 million the following year. In July 1995, he was transferred to Rangers for £4.3 million, and helped the club to 2 league titles and 2 trophies. He returned to England in a £3.4 million move to Middlesbrough in March 1998. He made his debut in the Premier League in the 1998-99 season, having already featured in the 1998 Football League Cup final. He switched to Everton in July 2000, and later had spells with Burnley, Gateshead, and Boston United. He was part of the England squad that reached 4th place in the 1990 FIFA World Cup, where he famously cried after receiving a yellow card in the semi-final with West Germany, which meant he would have been suspended. For the final itself had England won the game. He also helped the team to the semi-finals of UEFA Euro 1996, scoring a goal against Scotland which was described as one of the best of the tournament. In the later parts of his career, and especially following retirement, Gascoigne's life became dominated by severe mental and emotional problems, particularly alcoholism. He has been jailed or sectioned on numerous occasions and his personal struggles receive regular coverage in the British press. He has frequently attempted to live without alcohol, though rehabilitation programs have provided only temporary relief. His personal issues ended his coaching career, and he has not worked in football since being fired as the manager of Kettering Town in 2005. Early life. Gascoigne was born in Dunston, Tyne and Wear on the 27th of May 1967. His father, John, was a hod carrier, and his mother, Carol, worked in a factory. He was named Paul John Gascoigne in tribute to Paul McCartney and John Lennon of the Beatles. He attended Brecon-Beeds Junior High School, then the Heathfield Senior High School, both in the Lowfell area of Gateshead. He was noticed by football scouts while playing for Gateshead boys, though failed to impress in a trial at Ipswich Town. Further trials at Middlesbrough and Southampton also proved unsuccessful, before the team he supported, Newcastle United, signed him as a schoolboy in 1980. He was usually overweight whilst signed to Newcastle, and frequently got into trouble with his friend Jimmy, Five Bellies, Gardner, particularly when the pair were taken to court and fined over a hit-and-run incident. Newcastle chairman Stan Seymour described Gascoigne as George Best without brains. While Gascoigne was successful on the football field, his childhood was marked by instability and tragedy. Initially his family lived in a single upstairs room in a council house with a shared bathroom, and moved several times during Gascoigne's early life. When he was 10, Gascoigne witnessed the death of Stephen Spraggan, the younger brother of a friend, who was killed in a traffic collision. Around this time, his father began to suffer from seizures. Gascoigne began developing obsessions and twitches, and was taken into therapy at age 10, but soon quit the therapy sessions after his father expressed doubts over the treatment methods. Gascoigne developed an addiction to gaming machines, frequently spending all his money on them, and also began shoplifting to fund his addiction. He experienced further tragedy when a friend, whom he had encouraged to join Newcastle United from Middlesbrough, died whilst he was working for Gascoigne's uncle on a building site. At the age of 15, he took the decision to provide for his family, his parents and 2 sisters financially, as he saw professional football as a way of earning more money than the rest of the family were capable of. He enjoyed football, and later wrote that, "I didn't have twitches or worry about death when I was playing football." He was signed on as an apprentice at Newcastle on his 16th birthday. Newcastle United. Gascoigne captained Newcastle United's youth team to the FA Youth Cup in the 1984-85 season, and scored twice in the 4-1 victory over Watford in the final at Vicarage Road. Manager Jack Charlton handed Gascoigne his first team debut as a substitute for George Riley in a 1-0 win over Queen's Park Rangers on 13 April 1985 at St James's Park. At the age of 18, Gascoigne signed a 2-year £120 a week contract at Newcastle, with the club also having a further 2-year option clause. Willie McFowle took over as manager for the 1985-86 season and named Gascoigne in his first 11 from the opening game of the campaign. He took the place of Chris Waddle, who had been sold to Tottenham Hotspur in the summer. He scored his first goal at home to Oxford United in a 3-0 victory on the 21st of September 1985, and claimed a further 8 goals in the 1985-86 campaign. Newcastle finished 11th in the First Division that season and, at the end of it, Gascoigne was featured on the front cover of the Rothmans Football Yearbook. He scored 5 goals in 24 league games in the 1986-87 season, as the Magpies slipped to 17th place, just 3 points above the relegation playoffs. In a 0-0 draw with Wimbledon at Plough Lane, hardman Vinnie Jones singled him out for attention, and in an incident that would become a much publicised photograph, Jones grabbed him by the genitals as Gascoigne screamed in agony. Gascoigne subsequently sent Jones a red rose, and the two became good friends. He was named as the PFA Young Player of the Year and listed on the PFA Team of the Year in the 1987-88 season, and was the subject of offers from both Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. His first choice was Liverpool, but with no offer forthcoming, Gascoigne promised Alex Ferguson that he would sign for Manchester United. Ferguson duly went on holiday to Malta, where he received the news that Gascoigne had signed for Spurs, for a record British fee of £2.2 million. In his 1999 autobiography, Ferguson claimed that Gascoigne was wooed into signing for Tottenham after they bought a house for his impoverished family. Tottenham Hotspur. In his first season at White Hart Lane, Gascoigne helped Terry Venables' Spurs to 6th in the First Division, scoring 7 goals in 37 appearances. They rose to 3rd place in 1989-90, but were still 16 points behind champions Liverpool. He was named as BBC Sports Personality of the Year in 1990, and on accepting the award said that, "I haven't won anything in the game as yet, but the World Cup did help to put England on the map." He was also named as Tottenham Hotspur's Player of the Year. Gascoigne was named on the PFA Team of the Year in the 1990-91 season as Tottenham reached the FA Cup final, with victories over Blackpool, Oxford United, Portsmouth, Notts County and North London derby rivals Arsenal. He scored the opening goal of the 3-1 victory over Arsenal at Wembley with a free kick, one of 6 goals he scored in the competition. Going into the final against Nottingham Forest, he had already agreed terms to join Italian club Lazio in an £8.5 million deal. However, just 15 minutes into the game he committed a dangerous knee-high foul on Gary Charles, and ruptured his own cruciate ligaments in his right knee. England teammate Stuart Pearce scored from the resultant free kick, and Gascoigne subsequently collapsed after the kick-off, forcing him to leave the match on a stretcher. Tottenham went on to win the cup in extra time. He missed the entire 1991-92 season while he recovered, suffering a further knee injury in late 1991, when an incident at a nightclub on Tyneside kept him out for even longer. The saga over Gascoigne's proposed transfer to Lazio dominated the tabloid press throughout 1991, often overshadowing the key national news of that time, namely the recession and rise in unemployment that it sparked, although the broadsheet newspapers generally kept stories about Gascoigne confined to their back pages. Lazio. Gascoigne eventually joined Lazio for a fee of £5.5 million. He received a £2 million signing-on fee and signed a contract worth £22,000 a week. He made his Serie A debut on the 27th of September 1992 in a match against Genoa, which was televised in Britain as well as Italy. He failed to fully settle in Italy and was beset by a negative media interest, which was not helped by the numerous occasions he punched reporters and the time when he belched down a microphone on live television. He was well received by the club's fans, but not by the club's owner Sergio Cragnotti, who resented him after Gascoigne greeted him by saying, "Tua figlia, grande tête." His form was inconsistent in his first season at the Stadio Olimpico, as he had previously spent a year out injured, but he endeared himself to Eagles fans when he scored in the 89th minute to equalise during the Rome derby against AS Roma. He broke his cheekbone whilst on international duty in April 1993, and had to play the remaining games of the season in a mask. Lazio ended the campaign in 5th place, which was considered a success as it meant qualification for European competition for the first time in 16 years. He fell badly out of shape before the 1993-94 season and was told by manager Dino Zoff to lose 2 stone by the start of the campaign, else he would lose his first team place. Gascoigne went on an extreme weight loss diet and succeeded in shedding the excess fat. He kept his place in the team and captained the club against US Cremonese, when regular captain Roberto Crivera was substituted. However, in April he broke his leg in training whilst attempting to tackle Alessandro Nesta. Upon his recovery he was disgruntled with new head coach Zdeněk Zeman's stern fitness approach, and both club and player decided to part ways at the end of the 1994-95 season. Rangers. Gascoigne signed for Rangers in July 1995, for a club record fee of £4.3 million, on wages of £15,000 a week. He made an immediate impact. In the 5th league game of the season in the Old Firm match at Celtic Park, he scored a goal after running almost the full length of the pitch. On the 30th of December, in a match against Hibernian, Gascoigne was booked by referee Dougie Smith after he picked Smith's yellow card up from the ground and jokingly booked the referee. Rangers went on to win the league in the 1995-96 season, clinching the title in the penultimate game of the season against Aberdeen at Ibrox Stadium. Gascoigne scored a hat-trick during the game. Rangers won the double as they also won the Scottish Cup by knocking out Keith, Clyde, Inverness Caledonian Thistle, and Celtic, before beating Heart of Midlothian 5-1 in the final at Hampden Park. He scored 19 goals in 42 appearances in all competitions, and was named as both PFA Scotland Players Player of the Year and SFWA Footballer of the Year. Rangers won the league title again in 1996-97, their 9th in succession. Gascoigne claimed hat-tricks against Kilmarnock and Motherwell, and ended the campaign with 17 goals in 34 games. However, manager Walter Smith and assistant Archie Knox became increasingly concerned over Gascoigne's reliance on alcohol. The Gers won another double by winning the League Cup, knocking out Clydebank, Ayr United, Hibernian and Dunfermline Athletic en route to the final. Rangers beat Hearts 4-3 in the final at Celtic Park, with Gascoigne scoring 2 goals and Ali McCoist claiming the other 2. In November 1997, Gascoigne received a 5-match ban after being sent off for violent conduct during the Old Firm derby following an incident with Celtic midfielder Morten Weghorst. In January 1998, Gascoigne courted serious controversy after he played a mock flute during an Old Firm match at Celtic Park. The gesture infuriated Celtic fans who had been taunting him, and Gascoigne was fined £20,000 by Rangers after the incident. He also received a death threat from an Irish Republican Army member following the incident. The 1997-98 season was not a success, as Gascoigne scored just 3 goals in 28 games and Rangers failed to win any trophies, losing the league title to Celtic. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?